Frontlines comes to the base game maps. Welcome back to the Battlefield 1 CTE, where today, DICE has decided it was time for the community to test out the Frontlines game mode, added with the French DLC, on some of the base game maps. They've chosen Argonne Forest, a nice linear one, and Amiens, a more circular map, but one that is just as claustrophobic as Argonne is. First impressions? It works really, really well. Starting with Argonne Forest, it's almost a perfect fit for the Frontlines game mode. Its linear layout and limited flanking options means that both teams come together and they lock heads fairly evenly over most of the flag points. But as you can see from the map view here, the flags aren't all placed in one solid straight line. DICE has chosen to spread them out across the middle of the map, its widest point. And this actually works really, really well. The railway bridge flag can be capped from both on top and underneath it. That makes it very different from the flag on Conquest. Then we have the creek flag. That sits on top of this raised section of ground, and there's pathways flanking around it, so again, some good opportunities here for vertical gameplay. And lastly, we have the Hunter's Cabin. That's over the other side, and this one is a bit more open, but having the building there for cover offers a bit of a different dynamic, and it feels very much like a domination flag. The capture points that extend further back towards the HQs almost take on the place of the flags from Conquest, very similar to what we had with the railway bridge, with the furthest points out being those sections where the mode switches from flags to MCOMs, and this plays out very similar to Rush on the map. The limited and defined flanking routes make Argonne, as I've said, almost perfect for the Frontlines game mode. I won't say it is 100% perfect, because I haven't had a huge amount of time to test it, just played a few games or so, but it's certainly up there as one of the best map and mode combinations in Battlefield 1. Now, Amiens poses a very different scenario, but as with Argonne, the flag locations on Frontlines mimic the ones on Conquest to a degree, so you're fighting in similar places. Amiens offers a more open space for players to take on some larger flanks if they've got the time to do so, and vehicles also play a part on this map, I think, with both teams having the option to spawn in a tank from their deployment, and then they can drive it up to the front where all the action is. And this created a little bit more chaos in what was mainly an infantry game mode until the tank turned up. But we all know that Amiens works extremely well with infantry and vehicles in that dynamic anyway. I'd say of the two maps that I tested that I prefer Argonne Forest, simply because the linearity of the map means that it flows in a very easy to understand way. You know where you're going, and you can kind of anticipate where the enemy are going to be, and that makes it even more fun. It's no fun running around a map not knowing where the enemy are. You always want to be involved in the action, and that's what Frontlines gives you anyway. It's a little bit more than Rush, because obviously Frontlines is a 32-person mode, as opposed to 24 on Rush, but it doesn't give you that all-out Battlefield-style gameplay that Conquest offers you. So if you like the all-out Battlefield flavour, I'd say Amiens is where you want to be, because you can have vehicles on that map, but if you're an infantry player like me, then you're probably going to love it on Argonne Forest. It's very interesting to see DICE add Frontlines to the base game maps, because technically it was added to the French DLC as the supported game mode over there. Now, DICE has done this before, moving a DLC game mode to the base game maps. Some of you might remember Chainlink from Battlefield 4. That ended up being added to the community map called Operation Outbreak, despite the game mode being included in the Dragon's Teeth DLC. Overall, though, I think it's awesome that DICE are going in this direction and decided to add Frontlines to some of these maps, because without a doubt, Frontlines is one of the best game modes that Battlefield 1 has to offer, and it was a real shame that it hadn't already been added to the base game maps. When you think about it, you could have dropped TDM or Domination from the launch of the game and added Frontlines, which was a much better themed game mode, and I think everyone would have enjoyed it a hell of a lot more. But DICE seem to be fixing that, and arguably they picked the best two maps in the base game that suited Frontlines anyway, and appear to be giving it to every single player of Battlefield 1. Now, this is only in the CTE at the moment, but this kind of move is a fairly big one, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see this in either the June or the July update. But nothing has been confirmed so far. Now, in other not-so-related news, but still extremely relevant considering you're watching my channel at the moment, I'm going to be AFK until about June the 18th. But don't worry, I've made plenty of videos to go up between now and that date. I've got a short break with my girlfriend in Munich next week, and then I'm coming home on the Thursday for less than 24 hours, and then I go back to London Heathrow, get on another flight out to LA, and I'm going to be over there for a week attending EA Play and E3. Now, I've stockpiled about 10 or 11 videos for that period, which hopefully will all be of interest to you, and I'm hoping to be able to post some exclusive gameplay of some games that I get to play at E3 this year. Really hoping to get my hands on with Far Cry 5, definitely going to be playing Battlefront 2, and whatever they're revealing for Battlefield 1 at EA Play, I'm hoping to get some gameplay of that as well, although I haven't really got any information at this point. Typical video game industry, you don't get told anything until the last minute. So there's plenty of content that's coming to the channel, but likely you won't see me too active down in the comments section. I'll still be reading them, but my time will just be taken up with lots of other things over the next couple of weeks. Hope you guys understand. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.